Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Last night, we ended up getting one of the biggest weapon tuning updates that we've seen in Warzone in quite some time. We saw a lot of pretty severe nerfs to a lot of the main meta weapons that we've been using for the past couple of months. Things like the EM2, the OTS, the MP5s, the Swiss, the CAR. A lot of things were changed. And because of that, and then also the fact that we have all the new Vanguard weapons in the game, the meta for Season 1 is looking pretty spicy, if I do say so myself. And naturally, with each and every new meta update, new seasonal updates, today we are going over the top 10 best loadouts to be using at this very moment. So as we go through it all, if you enjoyed the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. Let's try and aim for 3,000 likes on this one. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, each and every single day I am always covering everything going on in COD, between news, updates, class setups, tips. It is all right here. And just about 58% of you guys watching the videos are not subscribed yet, so if you want to stay up to date with everything, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Also, right now, code Immortal is actually boosted to get you 30% off your entire order on anything on the G Fuel site. So if you want to grab a new tub, a shaker cup, a starter pack, anything at all on the site, Code Immortal has you covered on absolutely anything. So overall, I mean, the meta right now is pretty interesting, right? Because the Vanguard weapons, I don't think are fully in the place that they're going to be. They're basically in their 1.0 state right now. We're going to see a lot of adjustments made to those, but also we still have some older, like Cold War, Modern Warfare era weapons that could be really, really good. But I've got my 10 base loadouts here that I think are really going to stand out in the current meta, and we'll see how these evolve over time. But first up, we actually covered a couple of these Vanguard base loadouts yesterday in the top 3 video that we did for that. But going over these a little bit again, this is my first and main loadout that I'm using regarding Vanguard weapons. This is a combination of the NZ41 and the PPSH. The NZ, I feel like, is one of the top rifles in the game, and the PPSH is without a doubt probably the best Vanguard weapon in the entire game right now. I mean, this thing is just insanely good up close. First and foremost, though, I just do want to point out my perks and equipment are the same on every single one of my loadouts right now. I'm running EOD, Overkill, and Amped. EOD is pretty much a must-have right now because obviously with the whole Pacific update, they buffed all the lethals, made them ridiculously good. Hence why I'm also running the frag, because it can knock players that don't have full plates in one hit, which is pretty crazy. Stuns did get a nerf, but I'm still finding them to be pretty powerful in a lot of situations, so I'm still running with those for right now. Obviously, Overkill and Amps, those are no-brainers there. The faster weapon swap speed, the 2 primaries, pretty basic stuff there. Getting into the NZ41 attachments here, though, really, when it comes down to it, the Vanguard setups are pretty basic. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of, unique attachments in some cases, but there's also several attachments that are sort of repetitive throughout each and every single setup. The F8 stabilizer as a muzzle is incredibly good. Better accuracy, so better bloom, but then also better damage range. You really can't pass that up. I know some other players, though, are going for the MX silencer in a lot of cases. Better accuracy and better suppression just for a loss of ADS speed, so that's also a pretty solid option, too. For the barrel here, I'm going for the 360mm one. This is giving you better accuracy and better control, which is ideal for those medium and long range fights. So again, pretty easy option there. Now for the optics, you got a lot of different options here, really, when it comes down to it. There's a lot of good ones that work really well. Lately, I've been using the 3.25 times custom scope, though, because as JGod sort of showed in one of his recent videos, this actually helps a ton with control and just being accurate in general. This is one of the better scopes for that, so that's what I've been using. Personally, I like the optic a decent amount. It could be better. There are some better and cleaner optics out there, but when it comes to overall efficiency, this is one of the best in the game. I know a lot of people are also running the 3 to 6 times scope, and naturally, the 2.5 times optic is another one that is definitely a fan favorite at the current moment, so you could go with any of those and you'll be just fine. Sort of comes down to preference, but also if you want the most efficiency, using the 3.25 times is pretty solid. For the stock here, the E-Pack is pretty basic. Better control, better recoil recovery, better accuracy, better flinch resistance, all great pros to have there. The Carver foregrip is the best foregrip for actually controlling a weapon and getting the biggest recoil reduction. This and the hand stop, though, are always going to be the best options, it seems like, so you could run either of those depending on what you have unlocked, and both will be very useful. For a magazine here, previously, before they updated anything, I was not running anything in this case because they had a 20-round fast mag, which is just not viable. Then the other mags, the 8mm Klauser, then also the 8mm Sakura, they reduce your range, your bullet penetration, your damage. Those are not things you want to have for medium range fights, so those are completely obsolete. But this has a base 30-round mag. Now we have the 30-round fast mag. There's no reason to not be using this. Yeah, it hurts your ADS speed a little bit, but that's not really a huge deal in this case. Absolutely running the fast mag on there. Now, lengthened is the go-to ammunition upgrade on every single weapon pretty much. Polymer grip is one of the best grips in the entire game. It's almost like the stipple grip tape from Modern Warfare in the sense that you're going to be using this on almost every single weapon as well. For perk 1 here, I'm using acrobatic, better movement speed, better sprinting speed. This is great for when you're trying to rotate but have a medium ranged weapon out, so that's pretty solid. Also, these other ones just really aren't that great. Then perk 2, fully loaded. You'll see this on all your main rifle and in sniper setups. No real reason to run anything else. Then the PPSH setup here is pretty much the same as what we covered before. For the muzzle, we're going for the silencer here. This is basically the same silencer that we talked about there on the NZ. However, you could also run F8 stabilizer here if you wanted to as well and get a little bit better range out of that. For the barrel here, we're going for better accuracy, better velocity, better range. Obviously, this is helping more in some of those medium range fights rather than just up close in those CQB areas, but it's a great barrel for adding some versatility to the weapon. I don't use an optic. I think the base iron sights are just fine. For the stock, I'm going for the skeletal, better sprint to fire, better movement. That is huge to have on an SMG because obviously you are playing up close. Again, we're going for carver, but you could easily run the hand stop once more if you really wanted to. But getting that better control, I think, is pretty ideal. I go for the basic 71 round extended mag here. You don't want to be using the first, the Nambu rounds because those will hurt your damage, your velocity, and your range. So just a basic extended mag. I'm using lengthen yet again, the polymer grip yet again, tight grip, which is basically better accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. And then in this case, I use quick instead of fully loaded because it's got that better sprint speed. Great for having it on an SMG. Now, my second loadout here, despite there being no actual preview of the weapon, is the STG and the Thompson. This is one of my experimental loadouts. Honestly, it's pretty solid. I'm still trying to figure out if these are weapons that I'll have on every single, main setup in the game because the STG, it feels solid. I won't lie, I feel like I'm a little bit more comfortable with it now after the whole weapon tuning update, even though it didn't really seem like anything major changed. But it does feel like just a very consistent, well-rounded rifle. And then the Thompson, I'm still messing around with a little bit because it's weird with the ammo upgrade because you got to be especially accurate with it, but by no means is it a bad choice for a sub. So on the STG here, we're sort of just building this out for that basic medium range to long range build. I'm going for the MX silencer in this case, but again, you could use the F8 stabilizer if you really wanted to. 760 millimeter barrel is huge here. Better range is one of the best pros you can have, but also better accuracy and better control. In this case, I'm using the 3 to 6 times optic, but same deal goes as on the NZ. If you really wanted to, you could use the 2.5 times, you could use the 3.25 times. All those will work really, really well for pretty much any medium to long range engagement. I go for the weighted stock in this case. Better accuracy, better control is really the main pros that we're looking for in that one. Hand stop or carver foregrip yet again, either of these is going to work just fine for control and make you a little bit more accurate over range. I don't go for the 30 Russian short in this case. I'm just simply running the 60 round extended mag. I feel like this is more ideal for most fights you're going to get into with the STG, especially because the 30 Russian short is hurting your control, it's hurting your accuracy over range. That's going to hinder you more than it's going to help you. So just the basic extended mag I feel like works just fine. Lengthen yet again, the rubber grip I've seen a couple of different people using as like a recoil control benefit grip. However, polymer grip is also one of those that's easily going to work just as well. Vital in this case I feel like is worth using because it's going to help increase that crit area. Very basic there. Does hurt your control and accuracy a bit, but obviously we've gained some of that back through some of these other attachments. Then perk 2, once again, I am going for fully loaded. And then we look at the Thompson here, and like I said, it's an interesting SMG to say the least. First up, I'm going for the stabilizer. Again, you could also use the M1929 silencer if you really wanted to, but either or there will work just fine. The cooling barrel here is definitely what you want to run for that, versatility, better control, better accuracy. That's going to make it ideal for some of those medium range fights if you find yourself out with it in those situations. In this case, I'm not a big fan of the iron sight. Slate reflector works just fine for me. Just a little basic red dot, perfect for some of those close and medium range engagements. The adjustable stock here, better sprint to fire, better movement, pretty much same deal as over on the PPSH. Carver foregrip yet again. The magazine is where I'm still a little bit torn because the Kurz rounds here, better damage, better velocity, better range. These are great if you're able to hit chest, neck, and head shots. I did that backwards. Chest, neck, and head, shoulders, knees, and toes. If you're able to hit chest, neck, and head shots, these work really, really well. The limb damage, though, is not ideal because it's obviously increasing damage. So that's a little bit unfortunate there. If you're not feeling like this is hitting as well as you'd like to, definitely just switch to like the basic like 100 round drum if you wanted to. It's just going to be that extended mag. It's going to hurt your mobility some, but that'll work in certain cases. Or you could even try and go for the 30 round fast mag or just the base magazine here. You don't even need the extended mag or the fast mag. You could just run no magazine attachment in this case and it'd still work pretty fine. Lengthened, polymer. In this case, I'm going for sleight of hand because I just don't feel like these are really great perks. Fleet could work, but I mean, you're getting better movement speed. Weapon swap quickness is negated by amped as is. Frenzy, I'm still not fully sure if this is worth running, so sleight of hand works fine for me in this case. Then again, I use quick here in perk 2. That'll help with some sprint speed and get some of that mobility back. Now, loadout number 3 is another very fun one. I'm a big fan of the car sniping in this game from Vanguard. Honestly, it just feels good, and now especially because we saw those major nerfs to obviously the car from Modern Warfare, then also the Swiss with the flinch reduction. This is now looking like a prime rifle. The car is easily going to be one of these top meta weapons in the game right now. And as far as this setup goes, I've been running this since day one, since pre-launch actually, when I got to play it early, and it is feeling great. It almost feels like hit scan, honestly. Like I'm loving it. I use the stabilizer in the muzzle category here, mainly for that better damage range. These have perfect accuracy according to True Game Data. They do not have bloom on the snipers, so L-break is useless. You could maybe use something like the SD silencer here if you wanted to stay off the radar and whatnot, but stabilizer for that better damage range I feel like is pretty solid. I'm using the third barrel here because it's giving you upper extremity damage, bullet velocity, and accuracy. The accuracy really doesn't matter too much there, but better velocity, a wider damage area, which is super ideal. No optic. I like the base scope. It works just fine. I'm using the thumb hole stock. I know a lot of people are also using the short stock here for that better ADS, better sprint to fire, but thumb hole, better flinch resistance, and also aiming stability. So I just feel like it's easier to hit shots with that on there. Heavy foregrip in this case, aiming stability, aim walking, steadiness, those are ideal pros to have. The 3-round fast mag I use not only because it offers a better ADS, but also because without a mag, you reload very slow. Unfortunately, there's not really great mags here to be using. I mean, this is hurting your velocity and range. The 20-round mag is not worth at all. 3-round fast mag here, yeah, you don't have many shots, but at least your reload's not very slow. Lengthen yet again, obviously the fabric rear grip is going to give you that better ADS, which is pretty ideal for the sniping. Shrouded scope glint concealment I feel like is really nice to have. Then fully loaded is on there yet again. And then for the Automaton, this thing is perfect for sniper support. It's just really solid all around in general for like a primary rifle as well. Very versatile, one of the best Vanguard options. Stabilizer here for the muzzle. Again though, MX silencer also works just fine. Anastasia sniper barrel, better velocity and range and better accuracy. Easily the best barrel in this case. I see a lot of people running the precision for some reason, but this is hurting your body damage. I would never really recommend that for medium or long range fights. That's not going to be fun at all. 2.5 times optic, especially in the sniper support case, is really ideal, so I'm running that. Skeletal or padded here work great. Skeletal I've been messing around with because obviously I'm using this in some of those close and medium range fights, so that better mobility can pay off. However, all around though, padded works just fine as well. Better accuracy and recoil during sustained fire is great to have anytime, so either of those work just fine. Carver foregrip yet again, lengthened yet again. I'm just going for the basic 45 round extended mag. You could try the 75 round extended mag if you wanted to, but it is going to slow you down a bit more. I'd use that on a main primary Automaton setup and not so much a sniper support. Polymer grip yet again, tight grip yet again, then also fully loaded once more. Now this next loadout is again sort of an experimental one. We've got the bar and the PPSH, same PPSH setup as before. In this case, I got the stabilizer on there instead of the silencer, but that's all the same there. No need to worry about that. The bar, though, I'm definitely back and forth on. This thing hits like a truck. Like, it is a powerhouse, a 4-shot kill. I'm just really torn on how aggressive I can be with it, but regardless of my playstyle, there's no denying this is one of the best primaries in the game right now. Here, obviously, once again, we're going for the stabilizer or the silencer off the rip. I go for the 27-inch barrel for better range, better control, better accuracy. Pretty much the same deal as over on the STG. Great setup to use there. 3 to 6 times scope, 3.25 times scope, or the 2.5 times scope. Any of those are going to work. Same deal as always with that. Chariot WR stock here, better accuracy, better recoil control, very basic stuff there. Carver foregrip yet again, lengthened yet again. I'm going for the 50 BMG 40 round mag. Now they actually upped this from 30 to 40 with the last weapon tuning update, giving you that better damage, the better velocity, the better range. I mean, there's not much you can't say no to with that when this thing is as powerful as it is. Obviously, you got to be accurate with this. That slow fire rate can hinder some players, so it's something you got to get used to and definitely train yourself to use correctly, but the risk is worth the reward in a lot of cases here. The thing is just a beast. Polymer grip yet again. Hard scope, which is actually accuracy and recoil in sustained ADS, which is very similar to what the polymer grip does already. So you're getting really good accuracy and control while firing. And then fully loaded on this one once more. Loadout number 5 is another pretty fun one. It's a combination of the Automaton and then also the Owen gun. The Owen gun, while it is a slower firing SMG, does hit like a truck. It has one of the best TTKs out of the entire Vanguard SMG category, so this thing is pretty solid. For the Automaton, nothing's really changing between this and then my other setup, outside of the fact that you could change the optic to be the 3.25 times in this case. Then also I am using the 75 round drum, but outside of that, nothing is different from the sniper support one. For the Owen gun though, like I said, this thing is just very fun to use. First up, going for the silencer, or you can go for the stabilizer. Does not matter, just depends on if you want to be on the radar or not, or if you want that better damage range or not. For the barrel, it's a tough decision here because this first one, you get no headshot damage bonus, but the damage is already so good to other parts of the body. Losing that headshot multiplier is not the worst thing in the world, and you also get less fall off at range and better velocity and better limb damage. So this is a pretty solid barrel as long as you're an accurate player and you can land shots on an enemy. The other barrels though, fire rate and hip fire accuracy, I'm not a huge fan of because you're losing some ideal things for a sub. Then the last barrel here, reduced body damage. Just like I said before, that's not something you really want to have on any weapon in the game because of just the ranged fights that you run into. So I'm going for the first barrel. That may update over time though. Slight reflector in this case, the iron sights are not great, so just the basic red dot works fine. Remove stock for the better movement, better ADS, better sprint to fire. This is kind of a slower SMG, so getting some mobility back is pretty solid. Carver foregrip yet again. For the magazine, here there are a couple of different options you could go. You could leave the base one and it'll work just fine. It'll be what it is, and you know, you don't have to worry about anything there. Would not go for anything that reduces damage or range. The damage increasing mags I've been trying to mess around with. Do they hit as well as just the base mag when you're getting, you know, the better accuracy and control out of this no magazine attachment at all? That's where I'm still sort of on the fence, right? So you could try the 60 round drums. If it hits well for you, it hits well for you. Keep running with it. If it doesn't, just go for the basic rounds, or just use the 72 round extended mag here. A little bit worse mobility, but it's just your basic extended mag. Not going to do much different for you there. Also, putting this mag on destroys the look of the gun. You have no barrel or muzzle if you put this magazine on, so take that for what it is. Might change your opinion on it a little bit. Lengthened yet again though. Polymer grip, acrobatic for the better movement speed, and fully loaded. Then for the final 5 loadouts, we get into some familiar territory. Some of the better weapons from old metas. For instance, this first one here, XM4 and MAC 10. We saw significant nerfs to the OTS to both MP5s, Modern Warfare and Cold War. MAC 10 was not touched, meaning the MAC 10 is now, indirectly better because of that. Its competition was hurt, it was not, so now it's back in the fold, I think, and really, really good, especially for some of the mobility stats here. Then also the XM4, this wasn't touched, but they nerfed the EM2, they nerfed the AKs, so this indirectly also becomes really, really good. I honestly think if it wants to change the preview there, the XM4 might be the best rifle in the game right now. Low recoil, great range. Honestly, you can only have the 5 attachments, which is kind of a bummer compared to some of the Vanguard weapons, but even as a 5 attachment weapon, this thing still works great. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with it, right? If it wasn't touched, it's going to perform just as it did before. So agency and task force is a no-brainer setup here. We are going to change some things with the setup though, because some things haven't updated. 3 times optic is still a no-brainer, and I think the 60 round mag is still a no-brainer for the basic setup there. But they did also pretty severely nerf the mobility bonus that the Raider pad and the combat stock offers on a handful of different weapons. And for that reason, I feel like if you really want to have this as an optimal primary rifle, running something like either a Tiger Team Spotlight for some better mobility or just a basic Field Agent grip could also work. If you still want to experiment with the Raider pad stock, I don't feel like that's the worst thing in the world. Obviously, as a rifle, it's not going to be the most aggressive and agile thing as is. It's just going to be a little bit less than what it was before if you were using Raider pad on it. But this setup in general, I don't feel like is a bad one by any means, but you could definitely experiment around with that 5th and final attachment. And then on the MAC 10, sort of the same deal going on. I mean, agency, task force, Tiger Team 53 round drum is the basic stuff you want to be using anyways, but with that decrease to Raider's stock, is it worth maybe running no stock instead and just simply getting that better mobility and better sprint to fire? That could be something that could actually end up paying off. Do you just drop a stock entirely though and run the Serpent Wrap or the Airborne Elastic Wrap? That could also be really good. Or do you just try and max that mobility and run the Bruiser Grip alongside the Tiger Team and fly and fry all day, every day? Again, you can mess around with that 5th and final attachment quite a bit. This next loadout going to be a combination of the C58, which just like the XM4, I feel like is indirectly now a lot better, and also the Vanguard MP40, another great SMG choice all around. C58 setup is not changing at all from before. Agency, task force, Field Agent 45, and 3 times optic. Still going to work really, really good, especially here for those long range fights. Then the MP40 setup here, very similar to what we've been seeing on some of the other SMG builds. M1929 silencer or F8 stabilizer. The first barrel here for better accuracy and control. I like the base iron sights, they work fine for me, so no optic. Slate reflector would probably be the best option there if you want to use one though. The folding stock here, better sprint to fire, better movement. Carver foregrip yet again. I'm just going for the basic extended mags here. The 64 round drums, I don't feel like you need to increase the damage here. It's just going to hurt you in other areas that aren't super necessary. So this works fine for me. Lengthened and polymer once more. Steady for a better ADS firing move speed. That strafing speed a little bit, will be a little bit faster. That's nice to have. And then quick once more for that better sprint speed. Now, loadout number 8 is absolutely my troll setup, right? Because let's just face it, the combat shotgun is insanely good. They nerfed the Gallo with the last tuning update. The combat shotgun, though, can actually one-shot through full armor if you get the shots to land correctly and you're within the right range. I'm using this with the Automaton. In this case, you could use pretty much any primary you wanted to. NZ41, C58, XM4, whatever it may be. But when it comes to the combat shotgun setup here, first up, wider pellet spread. Obviously, we're hip firing a lot, so we want to have that on there to try and increase that, that area, make it easier to hit targets up close. Sawed-off barrel. Better damage, wider pellet spread, and also better movement speed. Very ideal for a shotgun setup, right? No optic because I don't really ever find myself ADSing. I'm going for the adjustable stock. Better hip fire accuracy is really what I'm looking for there, but also better sprint to fire. That's pretty ideal too. Carver foregrip, better hip fire accuracy in this case is what I'm looking for. The 12 gauge 5-round tube, better damage range, which is really honestly gonna make this even more broken at a slightly further distance. You can't go wrong with that. Buck and slug or packed powder. I'm kind of going back and forth between the two. Packed powder with that extra damage range is also gonna help out there with increasing that one-shot hit potential. But buck and slug can do the same for you as well. So if you find yourself, you know, getting more consistent one-shots or two-shots with one versus the other, just roll with that one instead. The pine tar grip, better hip fire accuracy. Then we go for vital, increase that torso damage for no reason other than to try and increase that one-hit kill potential. Then fully loaded or quick could also work here pretty well too. Loadout number 9 is another one of these sort of experimental ones. PPSH setup is still the same as it was before, but for the primary here, I've got the BREN, which has the potential to be one of the strongest weapons in the entire game because the BMG rounds, then also the barrel that you combine with it, that makes it insanely good. So first up, stabilizer again, better accuracy. You could also go for the silencer if you wanted to as well. The barrel here though, the Royal, damage does not diminish over range, which is insanely powerful. Bullet velocity, accuracy, control, all around an insanely good barrel to be using. 3.5 times scope. You could also be going for pretty much anything else that we talked about. 3 to 6, the 2.5 times, whatever, you know, fits your fancy there. I'm going for the Queen's Model 11 stock here. Better accuracy, better control. Carver foregrip once more, lengthened once more. The 50 BMG 50 round mags, better damage, better range, better velocity. This combined with the barrel makes this just insanely broken in my opinion, but it is slow firing. It's got really bad control over range, so it's something you have to get used to, hence why we're using polymer. Then also tight grip for better accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. And then once more, we are going for fully loaded. And then finally, I just have my restock class that I grab if we're able to get that second loadout or if we buy a second loadout. So I'm not really using any of these weapons unless I have to. Let's say I'm coming back from a gulag and I want to grab a loadout that has restock on it, or, you know, ghost for some other players. So this really is not one that I'm using mainly, but if I have to use it, I'll use this to get that change for second perks after I have my first loadout on me, obviously. Machine pistol for the secondary here. Pretty spicy. Stabilizer, going for the 140mm barrel for the better hip fire accuracy mainly. Hair trigger for also better hip fire accuracy and a better sprint to fire. The 40-round mag, lengthened. Pine tar for better hip fire, and obviously because I'm focusing so much on hip fire, I want to be running akimbo because the akimbo machine pistols are insanely powerful. Fully loaded on there once again for that SMG and pistol ammo. But yeah, this setup is pretty solid for a secondary. Honestly, if you wanted to run ghost or restock off the rip, throw this on with any of the other primaries that we've talked about, and you have a really good first loadout class setup to be using. For the primary here, STG, same setup as before, nothing different with that. But yeah, with that said, those are my top 10 best loadouts right now. A lot to go over when it comes to this new meta and everything changing with the different setups now, the different attachments for all the Vanguard weapons, obviously. So a little bit of a longer explanation, but hopefully this video helped you guys out, gave you guys some solid loadouts to be running for the time being. As things change over time, we're going to be covering it all here on the channel, so stick it here for that. Make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on. That way you can always stay up to date with all the best loadouts and everything else going on in COD. And if you enjoyed this video or if you found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.